rather than saying, hey, I need some respect, which then insinuates you're not giving me respect, to shift it and say, oh, respect to me looks like this. This is how I like to get it. How do you like to get it? And then assuming, hey, it might be different. And I want to show you respect in the forms that matter to you. And I would like you to show respect in the forms that matter to me. And that shifts it from being this binary of respect, no respect,
Yeah.
right? To what kind? And that actually really does open it up to more discussion. And then I think what's also really important is it's not just about what, it's then also about sharing the why, the stories behind it. Because people, I might say, hey, punctuality is really important. And this comes up a lot, actually. I hear a lot of people say, well, I get how the other ones are relative, but punctuality is not relative. And I'm just, but it is. Like,
Hmm.
because there people come from different backgrounds, different experiences that will affect how they prioritize it or they don't prioritize it. And then to be able to share stories around that. So I'll just share one really quick.
Yeah.
Growing up, my mom was always late picking me up from school. And I felt a lot of shame and anxiety because the school staff had to wait with me until she
Ah,
came. And so I still carry that to this day. And so time for me actually creates anxiety. I literally feel it inside. And so when I tell you that, you can imagine 5-year-old Julie looking out the window. Is that mom's car? Is that mom's car? Versus Julie's just being really rigid. And so when we share the stories around it, we actually build understanding versus just do this.
that's a really interesting story that you say that, because so much of this is just stuff that's accumulated over our lifetime.
Hmm.
And it's so wise that you say that sometimes the way that we react has nothing to do with the current situation.
Hmm.
Let's talk more about the power dynamic, because I had a boss, a news director, one time when I was in television news for many years, and probably in the first week of working for him, he sat me down in his office and he handed a sheet of paper across the desk and he said, "Hey, I just want to give you a heads up. This is who I am. This is the stuff that you need to know about me so that we're on the same page." And it was really amazing because I'd never had a boss say, "I hate it when people do this. I love it
Hmm.
when people do this." Like, one of the things was, "I hate surprises." He said,
Hmm.
"I don't care if you make a mistake, but if this is something that I should know about and I don't learn about it and I find out in a department head meeting that this has happened, there's going to be trouble." He said, "I do not want surprises. You can make mistakes, but I don't want surprises." And I thought it was really wise of him to be able to just lay that out at the beginning of our relationship, because I knew those bridges I could not cross, and I knew where I had some flexibility with him. When there's a power dynamic, how do you get managers and employees to get on the same page? Because I think some managers think, if you question my decision, that's disrespecting me. Some managers just want you to march when they give the order, but other managers want feedback. So I'm curious how you deal with that.
So that manager you described had incredible self-awareness,
Mm.
right? To be able to write that out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, so I said earlier that 7 forms of respect is a tool in practicing curiosity. And we think of the practice of curiosity as having these 3 elements, the first being self awareness, the second being relationship building, and the third being clear communication. And a lot of times people really lack that self awareness part.
Hmm.
So what they think is if people can't articulate why it's important, what's important to me and why, how do you expect someone else to know? Right. And so it is actually self-awareness is incredibly important. And so going to the power dynamics, so I actually think that hierarchy can create a lot of order and clarity when it is used that way, right? Because hierarchy actually helps people prioritize, especially in the work setting. Should I be late to my meeting with my boss, or am I going to be late to my meeting with my report? Well, chances are I'm going to be late to my meeting with my report if I have to choose between the two, right? That's
Yeah.
just, and the report understands. The person on your team understands that. So, um, so regardless of your position, though, to be able to do what your manager did, and then to invite whoever's on their team, hey, what what bothers you, How do you like me to work with you? And a lot of times they've never been asked that. And so I think this is just about clarity. And then also the other thing in terms of power dynamics is for people in the workplace to understand. And just because I like to be treated this way, just because I like to get respect this way, I might not get it because we're a team and we're not going to be able to make everyone happy at the same time.
Yeah.
So then the ultimate hierarchy, I think, is what is the mission? And that even goes for the big boss, right? So for me on my team, I actually don't prioritize in my personal life information. Yet my small team, we've decided, okay, this is a priority for Curiosity Base. We need to do this as a team. So even for me, it's not about, ooh, what I like, what I want. It's, okay, considering the nature of our work, considering our mission, how small our team is, this is what we need to do right now. And everyone then supports that. I think that actually when I'm working with teams, because what ends up happening is when there's not clarity, what ends up happening is whatever the boss does, the big boss does, that's what everyone else does, right? Because it's do what I do, not what I say I do. That's the
Right.
reality of it. And usually there's not clarity around that. There's a lot of saying, and leaders don't realize people are watching me. So I actually need to have some self-awareness around what I'm modeling. So you asked, how do we use the 7 forms of respect in the workplace? We actually help people understand that respect lives in layers. So the analogy I like to use is that of language. So if you think about a big organization, the CEO, whatever they prefer, and they also think this is going to support the mission, that's what the forms of respect they prioritize are, what I call the national language. And then there are the different departments. You've got engineering, marketing, finance. They have their own leaders. They have their own functions. The forms of respect they prioritize, that's like the regional dialects. And then there's just me, the individual contributor, right? And people who do best in an organization are those who are multilingual, who
Hmm.
can understand the forms of respect that are prioritized in finance versus in engineering versus in marketing. And then when we're in all organization meeting and understanding, we need to flex. That's what it comes down to. We need to flex, and also understanding, oh, I don't want to flex anymore. This is too much. This
Yeah.
is I call it the rubber band rule. I have what I call the rubber band rule, which is we can, and actually, let me grab a rubber band here.
This is our first visual prop that we've had on the Beats Working podcast. I
Yeah.
love it.
So, when I was doing this research, a lot of people talked about the golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated.
Mhm.
And that's what respect is. And the issue with that is, what if they don't want to be treated the way you want to be treated? And then there's the platinum rule, which is treat people the way they want to be treated. Now, maybe they don't know. Maybe it changes. Maybe they're too embarrassed to admit it. Maybe they want you to do something that you don't like. So then there's the rubber band rule. And the rubber band rule, it shows, I'm stretching this rubber band here. We as humans are flexible. We can stretch. Mark, I know you care about this, so I'll do this. And then Mark and Tamara, when I'm with them, I'll really stretch for them. Okay. What happens though is if I find myself doing something that I don't like over and over again, I continue to stretch myself. You know what happens when we continue to stretch
Mhm.
is we
Yeah.
can snap like a rubber band. And so with the rubber band rule, the idea is I need to know what my breaking points are. What is going to make me snap? And that is different for everyone. And I want to be really clear. It's not about being a big stretchy rubber band. It's about understanding, am I a tight little rubber band? Big and stretchy. And that can change depending on context. Think about how you are at home with your family
Right.
versus at work.
Yeah, I've often been called out. I bet you don't treat people at work like this.
Right. And yeah, of course. I mean, I think about when people say, bring your authentic self to work. It's just like,
I
but
don't
I
think
have
you want
multiple selves. I have multiple selves, right?
I
There are
love
different
it.
aspects of me.